What's going on, everyone? Justin again. As always, thanks for watching my channel. Welcome back. Cheers to those of you that have your beers. Getting ready to hit the last day of the week. Friday, baby. TGIF getting closer. I'm just scrolling through people's comments. One of them in particular, I don't know. There's a handful that I wanted to read through here. Just wanted to kind of do a quick video here, but okay. Lucky 13 demo. Snap-on sale out. Pretty sure he meant sell out. So let's go ahead and cover the definition just because I had to reread it myself. Selling out is a common expression for compromising a person's integrity, morality, or authenticity or principles in exchange for personal gain such as money. Sell out also refers to someone who gives up or disregards someone or something for some other thing or some other one or person. Snap-on didn't pay me at all for any of the tools that I purchased. They didn't give them to me for free either. So I wasn't paid. Nothing was received for free. And everything that I bought, I paid for in cash, which is another thing that I did stumble across in the comments. What we get here? Oh, from Free Bands. What's your credit account at, bro? LOL. I didn't put it on credit. I actually paid for it in cash. So not that it was really anyone's business, but LOL all the same, okay? Maybe I have a little bit of a spending problem, but I did not put it on credit. I just paid for it in cash. Another one, Nunya Business. Go back and watch your $1,000 worth of Snap-on sockets, bro. Okay, well, that was a different time, and those were sockets. That wasn't a specialty tool. That wasn't a cordless item from Snap-on. Those were sockets, and sockets are sockets. Anyone can tell you that. The expensive ones are going to break or wear out just as fast as the cheap ones do. There are some tolerance and differences, which we've discussed in numerous videos and live streams, to include our last live stream. And each one is going to be beneficial at a certain point in time. A tighter tolerance will benefit you on a brand new car. A wider tolerance will benefit you on an older car with rust or dirt or mud or grease and grime. And there are going to be times when a 14 isn't a 14 and you need to use a 9/16. Or a 13 isn't a 13 and you need to use a 1/2 inch. We've covered this numerous times over, but socket's a socket, bro. And you're going to want different variations for different things. Some of them you're going to want the higher end stuff. Some of them you're going to want the less expensive stuff. And other ones you can get away with the mid-grade. But let's rewind the clock. That was also 4 years ago when I was making $10 an hour. And $10 an hour was just barely enough to maintain my current household with 3 children and a spouse. So I couldn't afford to buy the Gucci stuff that you've lately seen. The stuff that you've lately seen me buy, I've only recently started purchasing as I can afford to. But I never put myself in the hurt locker as a result. I myself put aside 25% of my own earnings, my earned earnings every single year. I put aside 25% of my income. That's a lot. I asked a couple of guys at my shop if they had $1,000 I could borrow, just out of curiosity. Now, I don't need the $1,000, but it was curiosity that really kind of drove me, because I watched a video where they were saying 4 out of 5 people in America do not even have $1,000 saved. So I was curious. We have a 5-person shop. I asked 2 people just to see. No, they did not. They did not have $1,000 saved to their name. It's kind of a big deal, especially considering we're getting ready to go into the winter months of a pandemic. And if you learned nothing throughout this year, for the exception of that the pandemic can change your life 180 and not for the better, and that you probably were ill prepared and should have been saving your money all the time, this should have been a huge wake-up call for you. It was a huge wake-up call for me, because all I had at that time saved was $100 in pocket and $1,000 in savings. And I figured that was all that I really needed for any kind of an emergency, and I could always make up the difference with my paycheck. That was just simply not enough. So I've been following a lot of Chris Hogan. I've been following a lot with Andre Jake and Stephen Graham and Meet Kevin. I've been watching these guys throughout the last several months. And I've learned a lot in a very short period of time. So the one thing that I learned from the pandemic was that I did not have enough saved. So I've built my way up to 6 months of income saved. That is extremely hard to do, and I was able to do it in just under 1 year. So if you're not saving money, then you really shouldn't be spending it. I have the ability to spend what it is that I spend and then show you guys here on YouTube, but I also make a lot more than I did 4 years ago. And I'm not going to go into details at how much money I make at work or what happens when I break my threshold and meet and exceed the expectations for the week and what kind of commissional bonuses that I get on top. I can just tell you that I can definitely afford the things that I've been able to showcase to you. So when I see comments like this, it really kind of pulls me back, because it's not any of your business really what it is that I do with my money or how it is I spend my money. But understand this, I save 25% of my income still spending what it is that I spend. And I only have 2 credit accounts with these tool vendors, and they are automatically generated and paid every single month. I don't even have to think about it. Something else to consider for those of you that are also wondering, I'm also retired. Technically, I'm retired military. So I have my retirement income and I have my regular income. So I have 2 sources of income coming in, and you probably can't say that because you probably just started in the industry, or you only have 1 job, or you didn't spend, almost 20 years or 20 years of service in the military to get there. Well, I'm sorry that you did not go down that path. I did, and I stuck it out for the long run. And as a result, I was rewarded a retirement as a result. If I wanted to tomorrow, and I decided that I just don't want to work anymore, I could sit at home and do nothing. But that's not how I am. I'm always going to work. I'm always going to save money and try to improve my position in life and better the life for my children. Make it to where they can go to a nice school. Make it to where they can afford, the things, the luxuries in life that I didn't have when I was younger. Maybe it is going to SeaWorld or Universal Studios, or maybe it's being able to have a few bucks to go to that dance, or maybe they need a new pair of shoes, or like this dirt bike, this little tiny dirt bike that we picked up. We'll run that out until they outgrow it, and then we'll get rid of it. But I've worked really hard my entire life to get to where it is that I am today. And it was through that hard work, through the sacrifices, that I got to where it is that I am. So somebody else had commented, and I don't know where it is on here. I think it was Mike Hill. He said, do as I say, not as I do, right, bro? Yeah, exactly. So I already know what it was like to struggle and strive. When I moved here to Southern California some 8-9 years ago, I was living in a 1979 Pontiac Catalina out of the trunk of my car, and that's how I met my wife. I was making $150 every 2 weeks, making $10 an hour at the Ford dealer for 4 months. And that was just enough money to afford what little bit of food that I actually needed to survive. And I had a survivalist mentality from the military, so I knew how to survive. I had some MRE rations that I would collect when I was at drill that I would save for the regular working month, and then when I went back to drill, I would recollect. And I had my little 150, so 300 bucks a month. I would bicycle 15 miles to work and 15 miles back to my uncle's house. And then when I didn't have that place to live in anymore, I lived out of a car that I got for free from my best friend's brother. And I lived out of that car, and I sold my bicycle, so I had a little bit more money. So do I know what it's like to wrench and live a tough life? Yeah, it was tough. I'm surprised that I got to where it is that I got, because there was a lot of struggles that people would not normally be able to make it through that I was able to make it through. So before you judge me and certain things that I'm doing or purchasing, understand where I come from. And now I've had to live on the streets. I know what it's like to live under a bridge. I know what it's like to live in my car. I know what it's like to not get paid or have a paycheck. I know what it's like to work under the table. I know what it's like to sell any and all possessions that I have to have money to be able to make it to the next day before I can have a job again to be able to support myself, let alone a family. I learned all this through Hard Knocks University. A lot of you didn't have to do that. A lot of you are listening to my advice as I've been sharing it with you throughout the years, and I'm telling you all the little mistakes that I've made along the way. I've told you how I had to make sacrifices, how you don't have to buy the Gucciest of Gucci when it comes to tools, and that cheaper tools can get you to the next paycheck, that you don't have to break the bank. And no, I didn't just start buying shop tools when I was younger. I had a basic mechanic set and I ran it out for a year or two before I even started upgrading anything. And then when I upgraded to a mid-range tool product like Blue Power, like Gear Wrench, like some stuff that I got that was Husky from Home Depot, or even the Craftsman made in China stuff. I was in and out of Harbor Freight carts. You know, I've had expensive boxes and I've had to sell them. I've been without a job. You guys know that I had gotten fired from the Chrysler ship dealership. And then I ended up going right back to work at the independent shop that I had initially had left in the beginning to go to work there. So I've been down the tough roads, but I'm in a much better place now. So 4 years, in the last 4 years, where have I come from where I was at? I've come a long way. My income is nearly doubled, if not tripled, due to retirement, plus pay wage increases throughout the years. Yeah, I think I can actually say that with the money that I've had saved and the money that I make, I can afford some of the finer facets of life, and I am looking to try out some of the more expensive stuff because I've never actually tried wine, right? I've always been on a beer budget, and I've stuck to my beer budget because I knew that that's what I could afford, but I've never actually tasted wine. So I decided maybe I'll try some Snap-on. But good grief, the amount of comments that I got in this video, all for purchasing some Snap-on stuff since we've had the Snap-on guy in position, ridiculous. Me again, Dave, he goes, hey, Mr. Credible, I know your comment is zero help here, but I'd never owned an impact gun, let alone a Snap-on brand. Just wanted to say hi, man, because it's been a while for me. Cheers and God bless. God bless you, man. I appreciate you, Dave. And so if I do decide to end up keeping the Snap-on half-inch, which I haven't made up my mind yet, I actually have until next week on Wednesday to decide whether or not I want to keep it. If I decide to keep it and run it out, then I think we've found our predecessor for the DeWalt XR used tool giveaway. I think we'd like to give it over to me again, Dave, who's never had a half-inch impact. So my thought process, I had made mention to a few people in the comments that that if I decide to go with the Snap-on half-inch impact, it's so that way I can try it out and have an opinion about it. I will do a side-by-side comparison between it and the DeWalt, and once I've completed that video footage, should I decide to keep the Snap-on, then I'm going to mail off the DeWalt like it was going to be a giveaway. That's what we did with the Milwaukee. We gave away the Milwaukee 3/8 W to Princess Jamie, the half-inch to James from Midwest Tool Review. I gave away the 3/8 ratchet to my boss. Cool. Well, now I got a couple of new 3/8 Snap-on cordless ratchets that we're trying out. We're going to try out the brushless half-inch, I think. And if it works out well, maybe we'll try out the brushless Snap-on 3/8 drive. Why? Because I'm in a position where I can afford to, and nothing more. I can afford to try these things out to see if I like them, to give my input about them, so I can share it with you guys. Because yeah, I might talk about Money Monday. We might do a mechanic vlog sometime midweek. We do Cool Tool Tuesday on Jeff's truck, where I share with you some mid-range tools and some cheaper tools. And occasionally we'll go to some of the big box stores and see what kind of deals they're selling. So overall, tool-wise, if I'm reviewing tools, does it always have to be mid-range and cheap tools? Why can't I share my opinion about the more expensive stuff? Are you guys so trapped in a box that you can't think outside the box? I'm not talking to all my viewers out there, because a lot of you are very supportive. I've seen great video, goodbye, really enjoy the content. Thousands of people really enjoying the content that we're creating here. But surprisingly, it's just the few that really stand out that I wanted to address in tonight's video. Blue 87 FJ60 says, dang bro, you dump a few shares of Tesla stock? I had to laugh at this because unfortunately I did dump some Tesla stock, but only because I didn't want to try to catch a falling knife. I was up big time. Big time. I think I was up 2 or 3 grand at one point. And it fell and I lost all my gains and was like negative like 1,500. And I didn't want to catch a falling knife, so I decided to reduce my position. I did not increase it. Would have been a perfect time to increase. And I never recommend selling in the red. But I had a good reason for this because I could offset some of the loss and put it in other stocks that were doing better to hopefully ramp them back up. It's a mind game. If you're not in the game, you won't understand how to play it, so don't try it. Just do the long thing, okay? Do long term. I have companies that I'm never going to get rid of that I hold on to indefinitely, and I don't care what they do. And there are other ones that I'll swing trade to try to make a few bucks. And those little swing trades that I do is a gamble. This is high stakes gambling, okay? And those swing trades that I do, if it pays off, Daddy gets a free tool. I didn't have to trade hours or physical labor hours in order to get it, and I was able to get it because I was using my brain and I was doing something a little bit different that most people are afraid to do, and that's gamble with your own money, your own hard-earned money that you saved. Now, I didn't have to sell anything. If I want to, I can, but like I said, I have certain categories that I will never sell out of. I just hang on to indefinitely, and that's what I decide to do with my money. Whatever you decide to do with your money is your own thing. But understand this, I would not buy something and showcase it here just for the sake of showcasing it. If I don't feel like I can afford it, I'm not going to buy it, okay? And if I'm not putting money to the side and saving it for myself first before I make a purchase, then there's something wrong there. I had to learn the hard way years and years ago. I'm not going to repeat those mistakes. I'm doing what it is that I think I can afford to do, and I'm making sure of it by making sure that I'm saving at least 25% of my income. How much are you saving? Are you saving at least 25%? Now see, my goal in 2 to 3 years time frame is to save 50% of my income. I'm not there yet. I'll be there. It's a goal. I had started at 1%. I moved my way to 5, then I went to 10, then I went to 15, then I went to 20, and now I'm at 25. Every year I get a little bit more money pushed to the side and saved, and you should be doing the same thing. So before you go judge me, judge yourself first. That's all I got for this video, guys. I just wanted to touch base on some of the comments that I read because, you know, yeah, they do irritate me from time to time. I'm not going to delete them all, okay? It doesn't bother me to the point where I'm not willing to talk about it. I'm totally willing to talk about it, dude. I'm pretty much an open book. I don't mind sitting back here and BSing with you guys and shooting the theoretical. But look, no, I don't have like all these dang accounts open. I'm not, you know, raging and just putting everything on credit. I'm paying for shit in cash most of the time. The only thing I have on credit right now with Snapon is that Zeus diagnostic tablet. That's it. That's on credit. That's on its own payment. Everything else that you guys see that I pick up, I just pay for. Again, not that really it's any of your business, and I really don't have to explain it. I don't really know even why I decided to do this video, but I just got done having a really great time with some friends and family from the shop doing a Christmas party. Small little get-together. Did it at a friend's house. Had some good laughs. Kicked a few beers back. Got home. This stuff was still weighing on my mind as I was kind of scrolling through some of the comments this evening after I got home, getting ready to go to bed for the evening. Looking forward to tomorrow. Not sure what's in store for TGIF, but hopefully you guys are there to join me in the chat. We'll see you guys next time. Cheers. This is